Hello, so I've got some news about the suspended driving tests. I've just had an email from the DVSA come through and I've got some important updates here about tests for key workers, lessons with your parents and travelling outside of England for doing driving tests. Now, I've got my cat with me today, as you can see. It's not a real cat, but this one's cheaper and it doesn't scratch the furniture to bits. So I'll put my cat down there. Let's get on with this message. Now, as ever, I'll put a link to this in the description below so you can read this for yourself. Let's see what it says. Well, the first part it just says what we already know. The driving tests have been suspended from Thursday the 5th of November until Wednesday the 2nd of December. So I'll skip over that bit. It says about not taking lessons. What this means for driving tests. So there's some updates here. It says that they've cancelled ADI Part 2, ADI Part 3 and standards checks as well. So those are driving instructor tests. That wasn't confirmed before, but now confirmed. The driving instructor tests are cancelled. Let's get on though with the new bits. And it says here, I should point out by the way, I did release a video yesterday that I've since taken down because this is changing so fast. I made a video about can you take lessons with your parents. Now they've updated the information here. It still says you shouldn't take driving lessons. However, it says your pupils can still have private practice using their own car as long as they and the supervising driver are from the same household and it is travel for work, education or other legally permitted exemptions. So you can't take driving lessons, but you can have private practice. But you're only allowed to do it in certain situations. You can't just go out and drive round on a lesson. You've got to be going to a certain place with someone in your household or whatever. So you can still practice. That's great news. But don't go out doing just lessons, and you can't do professional lessons with instructors. So critical workers. This is something people have asked me about a lot. Critical workers, tests and lessons. People keep asking me, can key workers do lessons and tests? Well, here's the answer straight from the DVSA. Given the short period of time the new restrictions will be in place, we will not be offering a critical worker priority service. We will keep this under review. This means that you should not offer lessons to critical workers in England during the new national restrictions period. Critical workers will need to follow the government's travel guidance. Now, there is one important point here as well I'd like to make. It says just above this, somebody left a comment the other day in a video saying that, because I said about I don't think tests will be back until next year, and somebody left a comment saying the DVSA is saying that they'll be back on December 2nd. Well, they've kind of changed that a little, and this suggests that maybe they're not going to be back then. It says, we will continue to keep the situation under review in line with government advice. And that's under the section, what this means for driving tests. So, I still don't think tests are going to be back in December. Hopefully they will be. I know a lot of people want to get them done. I just don't think there will be. So key workers, critical workers, no, you can't do lessons and you won't get any tests any earlier. So if it is extended, the lockdown, maybe you will. I should think you would. It says if you booked a test for your pupil, they'll be emailed. Well, it says if I've booked a test, I'll need to contact my pupils and tell them it's been cancelled. And it says it could take up to a week for all the tests to be moved around, so if you haven't had an email yet, just be patient. If the new time and date you're given isn't suitable, you can choose a new one. This is an important point though. This is something I hadn't even thought about. Travelling out of England for a test. It seems some people have been booking tests in Scotland and Wales, you naughty people, trying to get around the rules. It says your pupils should not travel out of England to take a driving test. If they travel out of England to come to their driving test, our examiners will not be able to test them. If you live in England but your pupil does not, if you live in England and your pupil doesn't, you'll need to follow the guidance on travelling. So I suppose if you live by the borders, you might be in England and be teaching someone in Scotland or Wales. Let me know if you're in that situation, because that could be a bit confusing. The last section is about waiting rooms. It says, during the national restrictions in England, we will also be pausing our plans to open up other waiting rooms in England. It's quite strange this, because people were saying, can I go into the waiting room to use the toilet and things like that? And I think there was about something like 9 test centres opened. One of them was in Birmingham. There was only a few centres where they had the space or whatever to be able to open them. But they're now pausing the plans to open the waiting rooms. The one I go to, there's 12 seats crammed into a room like sardines, so there's no way they're going to be opening that one. And it says they'll assess the feedback from instructors, customers and examiners about the waiting rooms. And they'll see if they can safely continue to open them in Scotland and Wales. They'll update me again next week. I would still like to hear from people who have had their tests and lessons cancelled, especially if you've had them cancelled multiple times. And I'd love you to be able to film a video, which I'll put on this channel with a link to your channel. So yeah, that's all the updates I have for now. So check out the other videos on the screen. And as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.